What's up, everybody? Welcome back to My Overly Competitive Life. I'm your host, Charles Chapman. Guys, we want to talk about something today that's pretty exciting. We're looking like we're one step closer to the start of a college football season this year. The NCAA voted to allow football, men's and women's basketball to reopen voluntary workouts after June 1st, thus ending their moratorium on COVID-19 and summer workouts. These are voluntary workouts, but it's still a step in that direction. Question is, though, where are the schools going to do? Are they going to actually start June 1st? Are they going to start later? Because every state is different right now. California and New York are still very much shut down with COVID-19. They're not quite ready to reopen their states just yet. Versus states like Oklahoma and Georgia and Florida, they're already at 4 phase plan on phase 2, I believe. Some states, especially Oklahoma, were on phase 2 of reopening the state. And so it's every state's different. Every university is going to be different in terms of whether or not they're going to reopen voluntary workouts. The SEC voted the other day they're going to allow their schools to start reopening after June 8th to open their facilities. The Atlantic Coast Conference, the ACC, they have said they're going to allow schools to set their own reopen dates. And the Big Ten, there's not a lot of set in stone stuff with the Big Ten. It's looking like late June for them, as well as the Big 12 and no set date as well. They're looking at June 15th, July 1st even, which is not exactly the May 1st deadline that Mike Gundy had a couple months ago. They got him chastised in the national media. But June 15th, July 1st for the Big 12 Conference. The Pac-12, that's the one that's the most limbo. Right now, the Pac-12, Utah's ready to go. They have said that they're ready to go June 1st, even if they can, as far as voluntary workouts for men's and women's basketball and for college football. The rest of the Pac-12, on the other hand, resides mostly in California, California, Oregon, and Washington. And those states are all still Democrat-ran states that are still shut down, still not quite ready to move on to this next phase of reopening their states from COVID-19. So it's really just a matter of what's going to happen. They're going to have to vote on it, but we'll see. We're not really seeing anything from the Pac-12 just yet. So we'll see what they do. And it's a question of can they even play college football this season. There's a lot of talk about rescheduling games that should have been Pac-12 schools. And I know one of them, I believe Alabama's supposed to be playing USC, and they're talking about maybe getting TCU to play that game down in Jerry World instead of the University of Southern California if the Pac-12 doesn't play football this season. But we're moving in that direction to where we will likely play football this season. It's just a matter of when. And but anyway, on the contrary, if we did not get to play college football this season, an interesting study came out of the USA Today Sports Analysis Department studying schools' finances, as reported to the NCAA from fiscal year 2019. At stake for this upcoming season, if we don't play college football at all, there is a speculated fiscal year loss of $4.1 billion just in the Power 5 schools, the 50-plus schools in the Power 5 conferences, an average of $4.1 billion, an average of $78 million per school. And that's huge if we don't play college football. And guys, that trickles down. That doesn't just impact college football. That impacts smaller athletics teams, gymnastics, softball, baseball, tennis, golf, sports like that. That impacts sports that don't exactly bring in a big budget, don't exactly bring in the big coverage in terms of whether or not they're on TV with the TV packages and stuff like that. So that's going to trickle down and impact those schools. As a matter of fact, it's already impacting one school in general. East Carolina University's interim chancellor, Ron Mitchelson. The athletic director, John Gilbert, announced the discontinuation of 4 Pirate sports on Thursday. They will not be playing men's and women's tennis or men's and women's swimming and diving this year in fiscal year 2020, school year 2020 and 2021, because the school is estimated they have about $7.5 million set aside in case they have a budget shortfall. They're looking at a budget shortfall of about $10 million. So they have decided to scrap the season for those sports. It's going to impact a lot of athletes, a lot of coaches, jobs lost, players not going to be able to play. They're losing their scholarships. It's going to be really hard on those kids. Can they go back to school when the school year returns, or if it returns? And so this is an impact. It doesn't just impact football. And I know a lot of you guys are looking at it and going, Woe is these big college football, woo-hoo, boo-hoo, these big-time college football coaches and athletic directors making billions and billions of dollars on not paying football players. And the reality is, this impacts more than just college football players and college football coaches and athletic departments. This is going to impact a lot of smaller sports. Kids that aren't going to school because they play ball because they want the glory, or they got that professional contract, dream of getting drafted, because there is no professional sport for the sport they're playing. It's just college, and that's it. They're going to play a little amateur, they're going to get their degree, and they're going to go on to something else. And so this impacts those guys. Doesn't just impact football players or big-time coaches or big-time football programs. This impacts a lot of people. This impacts even those regular Joe Blow students, like, the kids that are going to be studying either sports management or, let's say, sports medicine, something where they would work with an athletic department as a doctor or a team manager, managing the equipment, helping manage taking care of the physical side of keeping athletes healthy. There are kids that would have gotten internships or jobs within the athletic department at the university that they attend, and as a part of their scholarship, a work study or something like that, so that they can get the experience necessary with their degree. So when they get their degree, they can go out into the workforce and get a job. But guess what? Without these smaller athletic teams, without these smaller sports, they're not going to be able to get that internship or that work study. And so this impacts the regular students as well. And something that somebody pointed out to me, I saw the other day, reading through a thread on an article, the impact on the local economy is going to be another big thing right now. Especially in the state of Oklahoma. The University of Oklahoma football on a Saturday in the fall is probably the biggest tourist attraction in the state of Oklahoma. Period. Bar none. And it is one of the biggest things in terms of when you look at the state's economy. Oklahoma City Thunder games, the University of Oklahoma football, Oklahoma State football, Cowboy basketball, and University of Tulsa basketball and football. These things impact the state's economy very well, because you got fans coming in from across the state, and they get hotel rooms. Opposing teams' fans come in from out of state, they get hotel rooms. They spend money on restaurants, they spend money on sports bars, tailgating, food, groceries to tailgate, paying for parking at different places. And then you got scouts coming in to look at these players for the NFL draft even, or for the NBA draft or something like that, or Major League Baseball's draft, or softball, they have a draft as well. So this money that's not being spent in the local economy is going to have an impact, and it's definitely going to have a bigger impact on states like Oklahoma, which is already feeling a big, huge financial burden. We depend on the oil and gas industry in Oklahoma, and the oil and gas industry, as a lot of you know it, has struggled quite a bit during this COVID-19 pandemic. So for us not to have college football this season, that will be an impact on the state's local economy, which will impact the funding of public schools and impact the funding of infrastructure, potholes in the roads, fixing the roads, rebuilding bridges, things like that. And it's going to be a trickle down. It's going to be felt far and above just in college football, but be felt throughout the rest of the economy in the state as well. So guys, keep that in mind. This is definitely something that's very serious, not just in the sports world, but in the regular world as well. And another thing that's been tossed around is the idea of operating stadiums. I know Ohio State's talked about this, and Alabama has talked about this as well, but the idea of operating football stadiums and playing games in front of either no crowd at all or a 30% capacity crowd, 20 to 30% capacity crowd, which if you're Ohio State or you're Michigan, Texas, Oklahoma, Alabama, you're talking about paying, instead of playing in front of 80 to 100,000 fans, you're talking about playing in front of 20 or 30,000 fans spaced out throughout the stadium. Not exactly the home field advantage that you're used to, or the same atmosphere that makes college football so great that you're used to. But back to the study from USA Today, just in ticket revenue, a shortfall of not selling tickets to games, you're looking at a estimated about $1.2 billion just in ticket sales. And that's on average about $20 to $30 million per school. And keep in mind, the average is $78 million. Some schools make more, some schools make less. So it's $20 to $30 million. That's a lot of money for ticket sales. And if you don't have fans coming in, there's no ticket sales, no concession stand sales, and no merchandising sales for jerseys, hats, posters, things like that in the gift shop and the bookstores. So that's a huge amount of revenue, not just in ticket sales, but in other types of sales as well. So not only do you lose ticket sales, but you lose a lot of other revenue, which eats into that average of $78 million that schools could lose if we didn't play football this season, just if they played football without the fans or with limited capacity fans. No tailgates, none of that stuff. But also, think about it this way. The cost of playing in these mega stadiums, these cathedrals of college football, 80 to 100,000 fans, the cost of playing in these stadiums is enormous. You got to pay the concession vendors, you got to pay for the lights, you got to pay to run the scoreboard, you got to pay the officials. Even sometimes, I believe that's on the conference, not the university. I'm not sure, but pretty sure. But you got to pay, like I said, vendors, tailgating. You got to pay the electric bill for the scoreboard, the lights, the sound systems. And those lights run all night long into the next day as the cleaning crew comes in and cleans up all that stuff. So it's not just a 3-hour window of electric bill. We're talking about 48 hours of electric bill from before kickoff, that's when tailgating starts, to the day after when all the cleanup's done and the field is back to being ready for the next week's game. So huge cost right there. That's also going to cut into that $78 million. So you're looking at a lot more than just $20 to $30 million worth of loss if you don't play football in front of fans, because it's going to cost money to play in those games in those stadiums, and it's going to cost money especially to do it without fans in the stands. So this is a huge deal. We'll see if we have football. If we don't, the impact is going to be felt pretty far and wide. So, guys, that's all I have for you today for this one. Let me know what you think below. Do you think we're going to have college football? Do you think we're going to have complete college football? Are we going to play without the Pac-12? Or are we going to play with the Pac-12? Are we going to start on time? Or are we going to start late? Let me know what you think below. Comment below. Share with your friends. Thanks for watching. Hit that like and subscribe button below. Have a great day, guys. God bless.